This program is brought to you in part by a grant from the Charles A. Fruoff Foundation.
I think that one thing we do know is involvement. You have to be involved. You have to stay involved in your children's lives. Whether you're a parent, an aunt, an uncle, a neighbor, whatever, you have to be involved. And you have to offer positive alternatives. I mean, let's face it, kids get bored. They look for something to do. And if there's nothing positive to do, they'll find something that's not so positive to do.
Because it's all about the youth. It's all about our generation, man, our future generation. And so I just kind of funneled through my head, man, it makes sense. You know, unity. Because when you say unity, I'm automatic, you think about togetherness, come together, you know, that's what it is, oneness.
Behold how good and pleasant it is for brothers to dwell together in unity, truly.
I was 15. My big brother, he's three years older than me. He died. And after that, it was over. I lost hope. I didn't care. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to hear about it. Don't say nothing to me. Don't act like you know me. None of that.
There is no neighborhood. There is no group of people. There is no social class. There is no economic level that is immune to drugs, that is immune to someone becoming a gang member. There are no boundaries. There are no limits. And I think the first time that someone thinks, oh, it's not going to happen here, this happens in another part of town, to another type of people, then they've probably just increased the chances that it's going to happen right under their foot because they're not paying attention. They'll be caught napping.
That's one of the reasons that a lot of people don't feel like prevention and intervention is important. But I will tell you, prevention and intervention is just as important as suppression and enforcement. And essentially that's what the Unity program does within the walls of that prison, is that they work very hard on prevention among, the participants in the program. And like I said, that spills over into the inmates' families and the message that they spread back to the street. The reality of it is that many of those guys continue to be shot callers, and they have influence on the street. So why not try to spin that into positive influence rather than negative influence?
Tucker Max is home to more than 500 inmates housed by the Arkansas Department of Correction. The ADC has 4 levels of prison facilities in the state. Alvin is in a maximum security prison. After moving back to Arkansas from Houston, Al found his way into the growing drug business and gang culture in Little Rock.
I got down the corner, got familiar with them, man. They started opening doors to me that, teach me the street life, the hustling life. If I can't do it this way, I'm gonna do it that way, And went out there one day, man, and as they say, history. So we wrestled over the gun. I pretty much getting the gun and shooting. Mr. Brown, he got hit in the chest, and he died due to that incident.
Back then, it seemed like that he didn't care about anything, you know what I'm saying? Much less himself. But then once he decided he wanted to change and got locked up by himself and went through that change, then it seemed like everything started going better for him. He started seeing life in a different way. Started treating people better, started listening to what they had to say, and started growing from there.
I was sitting in the cell, man, and listened to the radio. And it was one of those moments where, you know, I was thinking about my life. This radio station came on, and it was this lady talking about youth. She was like, "We need to do something. You guys that's in these gangs, you guys that's out of y'all, you know, you can make a difference." And unity just came in my mind, you know. And I sat there and I wrote on a piece of paper, and I listened to it, and I seen it, you and I. Stick to the mission. Think about the lives you brothers gonna save. You know, one that's come together is you and I, you know, working together. And at the end, teen youth.
We had discussions again out of all of that, which led to, he told me that he had actually written a book about gangs and all of that, and so it started there. They had a series of articles, I think, that they did at that time on the gang problem and gang situation, or the status of gangs in Little Rock at that time. We were discussing the article. He told me that he had been in a gang, of course, and had known some of the people that were in the article.
LaFell Jackson was one of the people featured in the article. He had served time with Al in federal prison, and it was there that a past full of gang life memories began changing. Both were starting to think about what they would do with their lives.
I did my time and I came home, and immediately when I came home, I started doing what I said I was gonna do that day. I started working with kids, and I went straight to the community back, and I'm like, it's wrong. We can't do this, we can't kill each other. And at the end of the day, I did an interview, I think it was with Channel 7 or one of the news stations, and they came out and visited my center. Lo and behold, Al said he was clowning in Tucker Max, really showing his backside. And he said he picked up the paper, and lo and behold, there was LaFell Jackson doing exactly what he said he was gonna do. And Al said at that point, he knew that he had to step up his game.
As LaFell began working with children on the outside, Al was beginning to develop the Unity program inside.
Unity.
Whenever he came to me and showed me this material that he had written about the gangs, being incarcerated in a federal penitentiary, we felt like something needed to be done. And myself and Dr. Moore and Alvin Williams came up with the Unity program, which is a prison and community-based program.
It said take a village to raise a kid.
It was an interesting group. The mental health people, Al being somewhat of a representative of the inmate population, and Captain Davis. I mean, if you look at it, we had input from the three corners that we needed input from. It was that triangle that allowed them to put the program together.
What about these guys right here from the other units?
We've got 51 interview request slips waiting for the next class. It seems like that the more classes we have, the more people that is willing to get involved.
25 inmates are chosen for the next class. The new Unity members are greeted at the first meeting by Captain Davis with a hug.
He has sort of the zero tolerance side, but he also has this hugely compassionate side. And I think that, you know, he's been there in the system for a long time, worked his way up to where he is, so he knows all the ins and outs. And you can't con him.
I'm behind the Unity program 100%, but that's one thing that I had to prove to the administration, that I was still gonna do what I was hired to do. I've got a career, but I also feel like that there's time for a change as far as the inmate's behavior. You know, give them something to look forward to, give them that opportunity and see where it goes from there. Well, you know, we have inmates from all different walks of life. Every gang that you can imagine, Crips, Blood, Vice Lord, Disciples, all of them agree and sign this truth form that they will get along, that they will help curtail arguments or altercations that may occur while incarcerated in the penitentiary.
I get a chance, man, to make amends and correct the wrong. When you go to talk about a gang prevention program, I mean, it's a must that you have a gang truth in it, because you actually giving guys a chance to say, hey, man, I'm not on that no more. You know, I'm gonna stand back, man. I'm gonna try to change myself. You know, this is a sign, a symbol of we gonna work together, because we don't force the guys to do nothing. It's on their own, you know. So a guy from every gang, every organization take their own color and they tie it to the next brother, and to form that gang truth, you know, saying, hey, we gonna work on this. We gonna give it a try, you know, the effort. So that's what this collaborates.
Lord, bless the efforts here today, that minds and hearts will truly be linked together, and that what is done here is not just ceremony.
We learn to be from different neighborhoods, but today we learn what was truly about being from brotherhood. And that's bonding together for one mission, one goal, one purpose. And that's you and I helping Team You. Raise it. We say we're praying together. We all in here together, man. And we understand today that we are our brother's keeper.
So you've got to rewire the thinking and go, it's okay not to wear the same color of clothing, not to have the same color of skin. And I think the message of the Department of Correction through everything, through this program and scads of others, is we're all going to live together. We're all people. We all share the same state, the same cities, the same towns, the same neighborhoods, and we're going to live together. Unity. And this is a fine example of trying to get people to understand that even though we're different, we're all the same.
Unity. You get that first, you can't take that from them.
Most of the men in the program have children. Sharon Long and Pam Plummer from the Centers for Youth and Families in Little Rock, Arkansas, come to the prison to teach the men that despite being in prison, they can help raise their children.
So we talk about ways that they can teach, that they can model responsibility, that they can model now boundaries, that they can give a clear message to their child. You must be the change that you want to see in the world, that they can be a positive communicator to their child, whether that's letters, whether that's turning over a journal, whether that's a phone call, whether it's a visit. And then we pull it all together. We pull those components all together. We have questions and answers, we have some kind of brainstorming, lots of discussion, lots of opinions. And by that time, we know the guys. So they're open and they're honest. And we have some good discussion.
My dad always would take me fishing, hunting. He was always wanting to do something with me.
We spend a lot of time on how you reinforce the good behavior and ignore a lot of the minor misbehavior and not feed into it and make it worse.
I know my kids know me personally, and they know that I'm not all about the rims or women or whatever. I was more on a friendship basis with my kids. It was more like, yeah, all my buddies, and that's how it's gonna be, so you'll like your daddy, you know what I'm saying? But going through that, I realized you don't have to, your kids don't always have to like you. Sometimes they can dislike you, every once in a while. So, I mean, it taught me a lot.
My mama worked all the time. I didn't have no time with no family, so I didn't understand what you meant by time.
I don't know how to be a father. You know, all I can do is be a friend. I feel bad enough. I just miss their lives, you know. It's, like I said, they be graduating, and I don't even know who they are. If they were standing here in front of me today, I couldn't even recognize them. You know, they're not my babies no more. I don't know if I'll ever get a chance to have any more kids, but if I do, I want to give them. I want to give them better than what I gave the first four.
You got a lot of kids out there with no time.
I want to have the tools that it's going to take to raise healthy. You know, I got nephews and nieces that need me to be a good uncle too. You know, I feel bad that I didn't get to be the parent that my kids needed me to be. But I never really thought about it. Sorry.
I've always been amazed at how open they are and how willing they are to share that, and then to kind of move on and learn from that and go forward and talk about what you can change in your future with your kids.
Another thing that was really interesting to me is the participants of the Unity group challenged almost everything they were presented with, which to me is so healthy. It was so good for us as facilitators, because every idea that we presented, every quote that we presented, every bit of parenting material or advice that we presented, they challenged.
You still can be part of something and do something positive with it. You can be a parent while you're incarcerated, but you got to give them something positive. Just let them know you're there, writing them, talking to them, encouraging them.
For the first time in my life, my kids and my wife see me cry.
Now we did add the parenting and started doing the parenting classes for them, which is fabulous because that's something we can give to them. But basically, when we first started out, it was what can we learn from them to take back to the kids.
Centers for Youth and Families facilitates hands-on prevention programs for at-risk children in the community. They help kids connect positively to what they can do personally and in their communities. Pam made a video of one of the Unity sessions to show the kids in the center's prevention program.
It was good. It was surprising. I had no idea what to expect, and we I thought made the mistake of taking in a really long one, and it was just different guys in the program talking about why they joined a gang, and they were kind of answering a series of questions: why they joined a gang, what did they think they were going to get from a gang, what was the result. And it was about an hour long, which was probably too long for these kids, or at least didn't really think about it. So I introduced it to the group of kids. I showed them the flags tied together and kind of explained what the group was about, and then had them watch the video. And I remember sitting back and watching them, and some of them were just writing away. And I thought, oh, lost them already. They're drawing pictures, they're bored or whatever. Well, when it was over, they were actually writing questions that they were interested in hearing answers from the guys. And I thought that was fascinating. So to me, the difference between this group and like a Scared Straight kind of program is these guys to me aren't scary. And I think the kids saw that. The kids saw that these are guys just like us. They speak the same language. These guys are real. We work with, they're ages 11 to 14 in that group. And they do after-school programming. They get different types of curriculum to help them basically make wise choices and avoid negative choices, which are gangs, drugs. And on the questions that have to do with, I am important to my community, I can help others, I am of value to others, I can make a difference, people need me. The scores before the community service and after the community service, there was a huge difference, a huge improvement. And so that's what they were doing. They were out cleaning the trail down by the river. And they work really, really hard.
It's hard work.
And they'll kind of complain a little, and then once they get going, they love it. And we've had so many good, positive comments from them, from their parents, about the difference it makes.
I was feeling like I did something important. Like, say I passed by there, I can tell everybody, like, I helped clean that up. I have a chance to be a part of something. I can be a part of something that somebody actually sees, not like inside stuff like that I won't get recognized for.
Like some of the boys, they would like have a competition to see who could cut down the most limbs and the biggest limbs. Just like having fun, just cutting down a lot of limbs and trees and stuff.
If I wasn't here, I probably would have been at home bored. I just want to just do something. I'll probably be, somebody probably spotted me and like they want me to join and do something that's not legal. I'll probably be caught up in something bad.
If they want to go into a small community and they're gonna find that kid that's sitting there right by himself. All these other kids are playing ball over here. They're gonna find that one kid by himself. And they're gonna go up to that kid and they're gonna offer him something. And they're gonna say, hey, go get me a Coke or whatever it is. And then they're gonna come back. He's gonna tell them, hey, you just keep the change. You know, and that's how things began. And there are gang members, I don't care how small your community is, there's drugs and gangs, period. Get out of denial.
I was always in trouble though when I was a kid. I was bad. I was bad then, I was in trouble all the time, but it wasn't nothing serious, just regular little boy stuff. A little too much of it though. I remember 3rd grade, right after my mom and my dad got divorced. I remember I got the forging signatures on my report card. It was like, it was trouble that was, you know, it didn't even make no sense. I remember at school we were fighting, talking back to teachers. Cause I mean, I was getting in trouble, but it was always like with the other kids. I wasn't ever defiant towards adults or nothing like that until later.
Nick's a young man who had, he called me out of the blue wanting a copy of the HBO documentary. He said he was writing a report in school. And I sort of could tell that he really wasn't writing a report in school. He just wanted to get a copy of the documentary.
I went over there to get it. And I hopped out the car, smelling like weed. I got a red shirt on. I still got red shoelaces in my shoes. And he looking at me like, man, what the hell is this? So, that's how I met Steve. And Steve, I always thought it was just gonna me get the DVD and go. I'll see you if I see you. I'm gone. But dude kept calling. He'll call me. You doing all right? What's going on? You okay? You wanna go to lunch tomorrow? Hell yeah, I wanna go to lunch. Yeah, where we going? So he kind of like forced himself in my life and to stay there.
Nick had some issues in his life. His older brother, who he, you know, had a typical brotherly relationship with, but he really did truly love his brother, committed suicide when he was 18 and Nick was 14. So I think that had a profound effect on him. But he sort of started gravitating toward the gangster lifestyle, and he liked it.
You know, you know, Scared Straight, that show Scared Straight, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like they really got in my face or none of that, because I wouldn't have responded well to that. And I wouldn't have responded well to that. They were real cool about it. Like, they came at me like I was their little brother. They ain't come at me like I was just some dude. So I think that let me listen a little more. So they go through this whole line of everybody talking, and then they send the officer up. Captain Davis comes up. He was the only one that really just let me have it. He talked bad to me. He talked bad to me, man. I'm talking about. He's like, man, you think your little skinny white ass is really gonna make it up here? So when they send you up here, you think you're gonna make it? And I was like, man, what you mean? I'm sitting there like, He was like, nah, turn around. He pulled out his cuffs. He threw his cuffs on me. I'm like, man, I'm hot. I look at Steve, and Steve's like, it's okay. I'm like, I want to flip out, but I'm like, man, I'm in the maximum security unit. They're gonna throw me in a hole or something and be like, forget it. So I'm like, man, I'm mad. And he was just trying to get that point across, though.
My assistant at the time, when I was the director of youth services in North Little Rock at the time, he couldn't even watch it. I looked over at him and he was looking down. I mean, it was that intense and powerful. And I thought, well, Nick will never, come back. Come on, buddy boy. But every time I go back now, Nick wants to go back because he's kind of shy, but he sort of comes out of his shell when he's down there. I mean, it's like he's back with his family, and he and Alvin have developed a pretty close relationship. They communicate with each other. So Nick's still, like everybody else, he continues to have ups and downs and good days and bad days. And he's got a lot of stuff going on, but I think that the lesson that he learned from that is he probably doesn't want to go back down there.
The first time, it wasn't too fun, but they were trying to show me something, but I still really didn't want to see it. I was still hustling. It wasn't nothing major at the time. And Al was steady trying to be in my ear. And I remember, I was thinking about this the other day, man. I had a lot of friends at that time, Al told me something one day. He wrote it in a letter. It was out the blue. And he was like, your friends are like your front yard. You need to keep your grass cut so you can see the snakes. I was like, man, that messed my head up, because he ain't know nothing. I ain't tell him nothing about what was going on. And it hit me, and I was like, man, that was exactly what I was going through at the time he told me. You know what I'm saying? It was like he gave me so much advice, not even trying to, at the time I needed it the most. He was just always putting advice in my ear like that, though. And really, even though I was doing what I was doing, dude probably saved my life.
They can talk to some of the kids and have them not make the choices. It may be that we could go to Tucker Max and get someone who's on life, who has a life sentence, who will never get out, and video them and bring that back and play it for our children. And maybe if they can talk to them. I can't tell them about how doing these things will end you up in jail from a personal standpoint, but somebody like Alvin can.
It's errors in thinking. I mean, first it's trying to teach them what is right and what is wrong, and to teach them to look beyond themselves. Sure, stand on the street corner, sell a rock, sell a baggie, sell whatever, get your fast cash, and don't see beyond the point of sale. Don't see the kid on the other end that is buying the product, who is now addicted to whatever trash it is you're selling, whose life is now in total shambles, whose family is suffering. To not see that person, your customer, as a human being who now has a terrible addiction and whose family is now devastated.
Thinking that winning is all important. You feel frustrated, resentful, and angry because people do not behave like you want.
Coming up with all kinds of excuses to avoid work. Thinking everyone should come easy.
Never letting anyone see myself as weak.
Like I said, it's a 3-4 situation, but it's all boiled down to the same thing. What you do, what you are. If you change the way you think, you're gonna change who you are. There's a lot of people say, man, I want to show a person that I have changed. We all are the same. You want better for yourself, I want better for myself. Let's drop the entitlement issue, man. Let's look at what we can agree on, what we can work on, okay? You want better for your community, and you want better for the youth that's in your community. I want the same thing.
They just showing me things that I would have never saw on my own. I probably would have saw them later on down the line, but as of now, I see it, and it was just given to me in black and white on paper. It was just that easy.
We're a nation of adolescents, and we've lost our way. We need to learn how to redirect our thinking, errors of thinking. That was a good class.
I did this. Now how do I correct this?
Who you are is what you think. What you think is what you do. What you do is what you are. You change the way you're thinking, change your life. And yeah, that was a good class.
Why is it more important you look at your everything? Because every time that you make the wrong decision, the consequences you're gonna have to face.
Before, I never thought about my ways of thinking. I always thought that if I did it, it was right. Because I could convince myself, I could go and sell drugs or slap a person and be like, okay, I did that, since I did it, it was right. So I had a situation with myself. I go sell dope and will give my grandmother $500-600 because she own her own daycare. I give her money to buy toys or whatever for her daycare children. I feel like, okay, my selling drugs is justified now. You know what I'm saying? But now I see that. I mean, it was all wrong in the first place.
Nobody owe me nothing. You know what I'm saying? I owe myself something. If I want something, I need to go out and get what I want by working for it, by doing it. If I can't get the job I want, then I need to go back to school and get an education and get a degree and get some type of paperwork, certificate saying that I can do this here to get this type of money I want to get.
They salary they take for a whole year, I can get it in a week. You know what I'm saying? So why work? You know what you gonna tell me? Why should I go out here and slave and work hard when I can get this money? You know what I mean? Like I said, I didn't know the consequences of when I get caught. I didn't think about that.
Growing up, you know, thinking that I can do what I want to do when I want to do, because mom don't know what's going on. She at work. By the time she come home, you know, it was like two different lifestyles I was living. At one for when I'm in the street, and when I get home, I'm mama's little boy. No respect for the law, no respect for authority, none whatsoever. Did whatever we want to do when we want to do it. You know, just going and taking stuff. Just for fun. Sometimes we might just walk on the next side of town and just jump on people. Just for fun.
So it starts with the blame on that gang lifestyle, but it doesn't take very long to move from there to realizing that a weakness in you, that a need, that somehow that gang activity fulfilled a need that you had. And as they say in the program, that's all you, brother. That's that becomes, and I think that in essence is step two. And you just go from there.
So there's 3 more kids that gonna grow up like me without a father. But I'm the one that took that from them. And so it messed with me. It messes with me now. That I know that I done took someone's father from them, that I done took what I didn't have, something I was in search for. I don't want to be remembered for being Kiki, a 9-0 neighborhood crip. You started the crip in Pine Bluff. I want to be remembered for making a difference in somebody's life. Oh, when they say my name, when they kill Dave, oh, that was a good brother. He helped so many people get their life together. He encouraged the people. He helped me change my life. This is what I want to be remembered for.
Katina Harper, a single mother in Little Rock, is hoping that it won't take this type of experience for her son Eli to stay on the right track.
Actually, I was a little bit of a trouble teen myself. I mean, where I grew up at, even the guys who were athletes or the nerds or the smart guys on the block, you know, everybody gang banged. There wasn't a choice, really. You know, if you live on this street, you are a gang banger.
Katina grew up in the south side of Chicago's Inglewood area. In the 1980s, crack cocaine and gangbanging were a way of life.
It just kind of destroyed a lot of the neighborhoods. It took a lot of the parents out of the homes. A lot of people started going to jail. Gang affiliation, you know, was more prevalent then because, you know, of the drug culture.
Katina's brothers began to get into the drug and gang culture. When she began getting into trouble, her father sent her to live with her grandmother in Little Rock. She returned to Chicago after high school. When her son Eli was 3, she felt she would have to leave Chicago, this time for him.
My son would go out and he would hang out as opposed to playing. You know, he would stand and hang with my brother's friends, and he would sit on the porch as opposed to riding a bike or, you know, riding any of the bikes or playing with any of the toys or anything. And then, you know, I noticed somebody, you know, saying, hey, 5,000, you know. So I realized that, okay, 5,000, you know, that's his name. You know, they've already given him a name. You know, it was scary. And this is the honest to God's truth. We pull up, and Eli's in a booster seat. There's 2 police cars on the corner. And so he gets out of the booster seat when I pull up and gets out of the car and calls to, you know, a guy on the block and asks him, who do the police have in the car? And I'm thinking, okay, you know, what's going on here? And so I say, you know, I see, you know, I know the ropes. I see what's going on, and this is not what I'm trying to have for my son. And that's why I brought Eli here, because he could have a choice here. But where we lived, he really wouldn't have had a choice there.
I remember my mom leaving because she didn't want me to grow up and get into any kind of trouble.
I have some concerns, but I'm not overly concerned just because I think now that he has a strong enough foundation in who he is, and also he understands what I will and won't accept. I know that the influences will probably be there, but I think he knows how to deal with them.
If somebody comes up and said, like, greet you in a gang way, don't even answer back. Just say, I don't do this, I don't gang bang. One thing is to avoid people that try to drag you into that stuff and to join after school programs and sports and stuff like that.
The older he gets, the more I'm trying to push that, because I can see that, he's believing that less and less, and I try not to react so strongly when he tells me certain things, but pretty much just try to spend time with my boy.
While Katina is working through these impressionable years with her son,
It can make a difference because we are different.
the Unity class is dealing with and taking responsibility for their actions.
But it's a new Cadillac, it's $13,995.
So I think one of the important things about the program, and one of the reasons it's as effective as it is that you're dealing with long-term offenders that have had an opportunity to serve a lot of time, and I think inmates tend to be more introspective once they've served a good bit of time. And I mean, let's face it, they grow up.
Because we kind of had the same past. So I can feel where you're coming from. It's time for a change. You can't continue going on in life doing the same thing, expecting different results.
So when the guys come in there, they understand that they come with somebody that's been through what they've been through. I'm in there because I'm there to help them. I want to see them do better and change their life.
We can make a difference because we are. It feels like a feeling for us, each brother looking out for the next brother, keeping them focused and teaching them to do the right things and leave the old you alone. Do what's right. We can make a difference because we are different. We express that fully. It's about the children. It's about stopping the process of crime, recidivism.
You got to atone for what you've done, and you got to have some kind of remorse, feel some kind of shame, guilt for whatever situation you've done. They brought you here and all that, but your family and different things like that. So, and to God, most important, when the first time that I come to the part of Atonement, nothing touched my soul more than a little gospel music.
Sometimes I don't
Think about the people you done hurt. Think about the people you wish you can talk to, make amends with. Even though you in prison, you still got opportunity. The guy's life is ones he was murdered. The guy's life you took, he ain't got that chance. The people that you hurt, the girlfriend that you hurt, 5, 10 years ago, she still suffering from that. See, one thing we know in this 5 months, brother, we done shared some heartfelt situations in our life. It's the only time right now that you can sit down and honestly put a sincere prayer out.
I want my mama.
One of the things that they do seem to get when I'm really pounding it in is their actions affect many more people than just themselves, especially their family.
I want to see you go out there and do what's right with that woman and your family, man. They need you.
One of the lines that I use that almost always converts somebody is when I tell them that my job as coroner, I dealt with parents who had lost children to the violence and to the cemetery, but I also began to deal with people who had lost children to the penitentiary system, and they all grieve. The mother whose child is spending life in prison, or the mother whose child is spending life in the cemetery, they have grief.
Until I come to realization, man, the pain, the suffering, the hurting, the anguish, what I'm sending my family through, the pain I done caused other people's family, my dad done died, things I wanted to say to him to make amends for. And I know I done caused a lot of more people pain for the things that I done did.
At the end of Unity classes, inmates take an exam that covers everything they have learned over the 5-month course.
I think probably, I think it was one of the most painful sessions I ever sat through, was when the guys got up and started talking about the fact that I didn't know I could do anything until I came to prison. I didn't know I could get my GED. I didn't know I was good at math. And to me, it was just this real, what a loss. What a loss. There are some extremely intelligent people who have made some horrific choices. And they're paying the price as they should. That's the result. That's the consequence. But just the sinking in of such a loss for these people who have so much ability, and in thinking of that and taking it back to the kids we work with, and thinking, okay, we have got to help these kids realize what it is they can do, what it is they're good at, what they can be successful at, so that they don't end up in prison for the rest of their life.
I studied like a madman. I was up, I had to be in the kitchen to work in the kitchen at 1:30 in the morning. But I would sometimes be up till 11 o'clock just studying. Get a couple hours of sleep and wake up and go to the kitchen and study while I'm in there. And I was studying a lot, and then I took the test and I was like, man, I didn't even have to study all this that I studied.
Some of the guys ain't never achieved nothing in their life. Man, some of the guys pass the test, man, they go back bare beat. Tears now, because they ain't never achieved nothing in their life. So the first time in their life, they're gonna say they earned something for 5 months, you know.
But the only reason I missed one of them because I forgot to circle one. I circled 6 of them and forgot to circle the 7th one. But I saw it was in my face, and I remember seeing it. I just didn't even circle it, so I missed the question.
Of the original 25, 13 remain following their final exam to receive their certificates. Over the course of the program, some inmates drop from the program because of breaking prison rules, not being able to keep up, or because they aren't ready to make the necessary changes.
After completing the test and passing the test, inmate Long showed that apparently he hadn't learned anything from the program or wasn't ready for the initial change in his life.
See, like Long, he wasn't here, but his presence was missed. See, because this is their class. These guys, the memories. So that's how important each one of these brothers is to one another.
Now, whether they accept it or not is up to them. You can't help anybody that doesn't want to help themselves. And that's a message that I really pound into them every time I go. If you want help, there's help for you. You know, that we want to help, but people have got to accept the help. And it's just like a drug or an alcohol addiction. If you don't want to help yourself, you can't.
I've seen guys come through, not graduated one class, and they show up 2 classes later, and they graduate. So sometimes it takes longer than others. I've seen some leave and never come back.
It makes me feel proud to see that when the guys graduate, that you're really excited about something that they accomplished, because most of them that come through the program hadn't accomplished nothing in their life.
Everybody's time.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can call them successes anytime you participate in something that you gain knowledge from, that improves you as a person. We're quite interested in that, in the system. I mean, even if an individual isn't looking at release back into the community, this is his community.
Some Unity graduates become mentors or members of the Guide Squad who help to keep the new classes in line.
When I first came home, it was kind of hard. It was kind of hard because people, you know, you first come back into society, they look at you like, oh, you've been in the penitentiary, you know. But I could not let that hold me back. If I'd have bought into that, I would have crippled myself out the door. I held on to what I believed, and I believed that if I came out here and did what I needed to do, on my own and with the help of my family supporting me, that I would be all right.
Henry Epperson landed a job with the City of Little Rock's street crew after being on parole a couple of months.
The same work I did in the penitentiary, I'm doing out here in the streets, and I'm getting paid for it. To clean ditches, cut trees down, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, these people have been swept into one corner and we're the corner. And our task is to try and send something better back home. I mean, 90% of these people are going to go back. They're going to live next door to you and to me and to everybody else. And we want them to have better tools because maybe they'll make it, maybe they won't. The odds say it's about a coin toss. And we'd like to increase the odds so that we see fewer of the same faces over and over again. I mean, the goal is, if you have to come to us, you come to us once. We have all the tools you need. You take advantage of them. Everything we teach takes hold, and you go back and live a productive life.
One thing you gotta understand about a gang organization, once you remove one person, it ain't gonna stop that. You know, somebody else gonna step up, and that person is gonna step up, and whatever that person's agenda is, he's gonna carry it out, you know? And so the youngsters now that's stepping up, I mean, that's out there being leaders of these gangs, man, they don't have that value, you know, that sense. You know, it ain't go to school, get out the neighborhood, get out the projects, you know, man, live your life right, you know, go to church, you know, it's none of that. The youngsters now, they just took on the money, reputation, you know, kind of aspect of the game.
My principal, she wasn't talking to me. My vice principal didn't care about why I was doing what I was doing. Mama thought, you know, lock him up and overnight it's gonna be straight. He'll be fixed. No, that ain't. Man, them kids, some of these kids that don't see no hope, don't see no future for them, don't even see no reason, no point. I ain't see no point. I ain't see no reason to continue. That was part of why I kept doing what I was doing. And see, it's more than just kids doing what they doing, man. It's a real problem, man. When you start doing that, that's a cycle, man. That's a vicious cycle.
Like when we start the program, we tell them, you know, we understand that some of y'all are ex-gang members, but you ain't gonna, we're not trying to change that image of you. You know, you can still be a gang member if that's what you want to associate yourself with, but I mean, just do it in a positive way. Don't do, you know, keep all the negative stuff outside.
It's not the gang, it's the negative things that the gang does. A gang doesn't necessarily have to be a negative thing if they're not doing negative behaviors.
And again, I mean, Unity program, who knows? It may be the best thing since sliced bread. And then again, the flip side is true. It may not make a big difference at all. But we're going to try. We're going to try this program, we're going to try other programs, and we're going to keep trying. And that's the best we can do, is learn from our experiences and keep moving.
So the Unity program helps by, I think, giving the word of mouth from the people who've lived through it back out to the streets. Not through the television, but we've always been able to communicate from prison, always, as we've done it for years. To say, don't do this, this is not what you want to do.
If I can learn from their mistakes, then I need to know about their mistakes. I can learn from my own mistakes, but hell, if I can learn from yours first, I can prevent all my mistakes. So, I mean, they always gonna be to society kind of put to the side, but who better to tell you how to go to war than a soldier, than somebody that's a veteran? Ain't nobody else gonna say them kids. Ain't nobody else gonna say them kids. When I was 15, 16, and I was doing all that stuff, man, wasn't nobody talking to me.
We don't have enough people out here on these streets or in the schools to work with these children or work with these families. And until we get people, that's what the people down there at Unity, that's what they're saying there. We gotta have people. There's gotta be an army of love that is begin trained to spread across this country to help these children.
It's an everyday challenge. You're gonna have to live up to what you commit yourself to the rest of your life. You know, it ain't just about this day, that day. It's a life journey. So critics, you know, can't say too much. You know, you're gonna have that. You know, but I just think that they should always give a person an opportunity, a chance to change, and if they can, help them in the process.
It's gonna be hard, but I'm gonna make it, bro. I'm gonna make it because I say I'm gonna make it, and I have faith in that. I believe that. With or without the help that I need from others, I'm gonna make it.
If you just work hard and strive and keep striving, you know, you ain't never fail till you stop trying. As long as you're trying, you're gonna succeed.
If I don't take responsibility for my own actions, then ain't nobody else gonna take responsibility for theirs. I think on instinct. You know, I act on instinct, and I don't think the further down the road, you know, as far as what's going on right there. Yeah, that's something I really need to work on.
I think that sometimes we need to take the initiative and have those hard conversations with our kids and, you know, not wait on someone else to have those conversations with them and leave them out there kind of, you know, unprepared, not knowing what to say and what to do.
Be able to help somebody, first you gotta help yourself. It starts with yourself first. Get your thoughts right. Once you change your thoughts and your action, you'll get different results.
Truly, brothers, I say to you, take in the information, apply it to your everyday living, because you applying the information, that's your program. The information is your program. How you working in your life every day is your program.
For the youngsters behind me, they come into prison, and man, that hurts. When you see a young guy that come to prison for something that you once believed in, and you know that's what he believed in, and that's why he did what he did, and to see him come in with these big numbers, and it's just a kid, you know. So you gotta have some sense of responsibility for that, and have some more. So you help this youth, eventually this youth help this youth, and you know the chain of help with broad, you know, in the community and in the prison setting.
You know, you're always going to have skeptics, people that's going to say, I don't believe he can change, but I personally believe that everybody can change if given the opportunity and they have that will. I believe every person can change.
We can make a difference because we are here. We can make a difference because we are here. Unity, truly.
This program is brought to you in part by a grant from the Charles A. Fruoff Foundation.